Paris police have warned farmers of blocking the city's main food market as protests over regulations and working conditions continue. Northern Ireland's Unionist Party has agreed to restore the region's government after a near 2-year boycott.
A years-long diplomatic conflict between Ukraine and Hungary took a step forward on Monday during a meeting between the country's foreign ministers.
The EU awaits an investigation into UNRWA but has not suspended aid to the UN Agency for Palestinians.
Israel has warned the citizens of West Gaza to seek shelter. War with Hamas has displaced over 2 million people. France has told its farmers that any action to block access to Paris's main market for fresh food would be crossing a line, as a tractor protest made good on a threat to blockade the city for an indefinite period. Officers and armoured vehicles stationed at the Rungis market as agricultural unions prepared to mount a siege on the French capital over an ongoing row over farming regulations, pay and taxes. Protesting farmers aim to pressure the government over the future of their industry, which has been shaken by repercussions of the war in Ukraine.
On nous impose aussi de produire de la jachère, alors qu'on nous demande de produire plus. Comment produire plus si on cultive sur une moins grande surface?
On nous a interdit certaines molécules qui sont encore autorisées en Espagne ou en Italie et ils déversent leurs fruits sur la France, quoi. Et nous, comment on fait, quoi?
In Romania, farmers and transport workers have staged a 3-day traffic blockade over working conditions, starting with demonstrations on the streets of Brasov on Monday. As for France's neighbour Belgium, agricultural workers blocked key roads last night, including the Brussels highway, causing traffic jams during the morning rush hour. In a late-night breakthrough, Northern Ireland's main pro-British Unionist Party has agreed to end its 2-year boycott of a power-sharing government with pro-Irish Republican Sinn Féin. DUP leader Jeffrey Donaldson has managed to convince his party leadership to accept a British government deal on post-Brexit trading arrangements. They had been concerned that while Northern Ireland would have access to the EU's single market, the proposal would undermine the province's position within the UK. The boycott had threatened the future of the landmark Good Friday Agreement peace accord, which ended decades of sectarian violence.
A years-long diplomatic conflict between Ukraine and Hungary took a step forward on Monday during a meeting between the country's foreign ministers. Yet, no decision has been made on Hungary's blocking of a crucial EU financial aid package for Kyiv. The meeting came as European leaders are scrambling to persuade Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orbán to lift his veto of 50 billion euros in aid to Ukraine that he blocked in December.
Talán nem túlzás és nem veszik tiszteletlenségnek a kollégák, ha az elvárás szót használom ebben a kontextusban, amely arra vonatkozik, hogy a 2015-ben már létezett jogaikat a magyar nemzeti közösség tagjai kapják vissza.
On January 23rd, a rocket damaged the house in which the family of Olympic figure skater Dimitri Sharpar, who died near Bakhmut, lives. This happened a year after the family received the news of Dimitri's death. Dimitri was a rising star. In 2016, he entered the top 10 at the Youth Olympic Games and has won several medals in Ukraine.
The European Commission will review funding for UNRWA following the results of an investigation, but it's not suspended support as no transfers are planned till the end of February. At issue is UNRWA's statement that it fired several employees of the UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees who were allegedly involved in the Hamas terror attack against Israel on October 7th. It's suspected that 12 were involved. In total, 13,000 people work for UNRWA.
We are asking, first of all, the organisation to carry out the investigation which it has itself announced, and secondly, we are asking them to agree to an audit to be carried out by independent experts that would be selected by the Commission.
The UN Secretary-General has pleaded with states. While I understand their concerns, I was myself horrified by these accusations, he said. I strongly appeal to governments that have suspended their contributions to at least guarantee the continuity of UNRWA's operations. The US, the UK, Canada and 7 EU countries have suspended the aid, including France and Germany. Spain, Ireland and Luxembourg are some of the countries that will keep helping Palestinians through UNRWA. Antonio Guterres says that UNRWA's current funding will not allow it to meet all requirements to help the 2 million civilians in Gaza that depend on the agency for daily survival. International Crisis Group analyst says this humanitarian catastrophe may rise to an even more unpredictable scale.
You know, the UN Refugee and Works Agency is one of the UN agencies that doesn't have a reserve fund. So they basically live from month to month. And even before October 7th, the UN Refugee and Works Agency was sounding the alarm about shortages of funds on a month-to-month basis. Now, with the crisis after October 7th, the demands have skyrocketed, because of the humanitarian situation in Gaza. So at this point, to say that there is no money available until all of this is sorted out could be fatal. Could be fatal for the UN Refugee and Works Agency. It could be fatal for a lot of people in Gaza.
The current government of Israel has for a long time criticised UNRWA's work, which has operated in the region since 1949, helping Palestinians forced to flee their homes as refugees. Israel alleges UNRWA perpetuates anti-Semitism in the Palestinian territories and neighbouring countries. The Israeli Foreign Affairs Minister Israel Katz said it would do its utmost to stop UNRWA from operating after the ongoing war. Shona Murray, Euronews, Brussels.
Thousands of people were forced to flee their homes in West Gaza on Monday after receiving a warning from the Israeli army. Carrying blankets and bedding, Palestinians made their way through the debris and destruction of the streets of Gaza City to find shelter, many of them on foot. Meanwhile, the White House has insisted it is not looking for a war with Iran, following a drone strike that killed 3 American troops in Jordan over the weekend.
There's no reason that whatever our response is, there's no reason for that to have an impact on our ability to try to get these hostages released. And as I said last week, so I can say today, those discussions are ongoing. We believe they have been constructive and are moving in a good direction.
As thousands of Palestinians move towards the Egyptian border due to intense fighting in Khan Yunis, the IDF has bombed an Islamic cemetery in search of underground Hamas tunnels. Under international law, religious sites receive special protection and destroying them could be considered a war crime. Poland's outgoing Law and Justice Party has organised another protest outside the National Prosecutor's office. The party claims the new Minister of Justice tried to forcefully take over without respecting constitutional laws.
Na podstawie siłowych metod doszło do przejęcia polskiej telewizji, mediów publicznych. Doszło następnie do siłowej próby obalenia prokuratora krajowego. Z drugiej strony widzimy absolutnie szaloną próbę pozbawienia mandatu 2 parlamentarzystów, którzy zostali ułaskawieni przez pana prezydenta. Apeluję, ażeby dokładnie przyjrzeli się, co robi liberalny rząd Donalda Tuska, bo zaczyna się w Polsce czyste bezprawie, tyrania i rząd autorytarny.
The ruling coalition has a completely different stand, and the answer to the opposition sounding the alarm is clear.
Ja w takim razie mam wiadomość dla pana posła Kaczyńskiego, który dzisiaj bez żadnego trybu też postanowił głos zabrać, że konstytucja właśnie zaczęła obowiązywać.
The Minister of Justice considers that reforms are necessary in order to depoliticize law enforcement institutions.
Ja uważam, że mówienie o dualizmie jest nie na miejscu, ponieważ jest jeden prokurator generalny. Wszystkie decyzje, które podejmuje, są absolutnie przemyślane i są zgodne z prawem. Ja zrobię wszystko, co w mojej mocy, aby doprowadzić do tego, że prokuratura będzie służyła obywatelom, aby nie były gdzieś chowane w szafach, w garażach akta różnych spraw, które są niewygodne. Doprowadzę do tego, że prokuratura będzie działała na rzecz poszanowania zasady praworządności.
The strongly divided public is often lost in the information and interpretations of legal acts that politicians multiply and propagate.
Legal disputes between the party leaving power and the current government concern many legal acts, public institutions and positions. And this dispute will certainly not end soon. Magdalena Hodownik for Euronews from Warsaw.
On Monday, Giorgia Meloni's government unveiled the long-awaited Midday plan for Africa. The occasion was a one-day summit held in the Italian capital that was attended by more than 24 African leaders and European Union officials. In the first major event of Italy's Group of 7, Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni described the plan, which aims to build a new partnership with Africa, as both ambitious and concrete. The main pillars took center stage in Monday's roundtables, covering topics from education and training to health and energy.
J'ai cru comprendre, Madame la Présidente du Conseil, que le plan Mattei que vous proposez et sur lequel nous aurions souhaité avoir été consultés abonde dans ce sens. L'Afrique est disposée à discuter les contours et les modalités de sa mise en œuvre. Je dois insister ici sur la nécessité de joindre les actes aux paroles.
The Italian government seeks to present Italy as the natural bridge between Africa and Europe, using economic cooperation as a way to stem illegal immigration. But by doing so, Meloni is facing a significant gamble.
Today's conference has shown that Italy cannot act alone. It not only needs to build stronger ties with African countries, but it also requires the backing of European institutions. And timing is also crucial. It will take years before the plan will produce the desired results, and that's why Giorgia Meloni has to ensure that her approach towards the African continent will last well beyond her government. Giorgia Orlandi for Euronews in Rome.